These are the Fothagilia, whatever they're called. They're supposed to have really a lot of leaves on them. Really a lot. That's not good grammar. Sorry. I'm having not a good day. But this one's finally done something after all summer. And this, I mean, compared to last year, they've hardly done anything. I've watered, used Miracle Grow, and this one, who was doing the best, but it was leaning over. Why, I do not know. And I finally found that they had not buried it deep. I don't know if you can see, the roots were sitting on top, and there wasn't a lot of dirt around it, and I thought it was the sun pulling it that way, but it's just wobbly. And there are no voles, there are no moles. Moles don't eat foliage, voles do. And it just hasn't done that well. I don't know why it started leaning, unless they just did not plant it deep enough, like they did not dig the proper holes for the yarrow they planted over there and the one that died over there. So these plants, bushes right here, need full sun, part shade, it says. When it says that, they need sun. And this gets shade all summer long. I've got Gary's humongous tree, and I've got mine that's over 4 stories high, probably, like, I don't know, it's as tall as those buildings back there. It's an old swamp maple. And when Meg was out here, I told her this entire area was shaded. But I've had other hostas die. They did not. Just now towards fall, these two are trying to come back out of the ground. After I met with Carrie in, March, and never heard from him again because he didn't want to do the work. He said he was busy. He wanted to do it in the fall. Not happening. I'm not going to be out here in the cold weather, the dampness with my diseases. I can't do it. So anyway, he never showed up. All these bushes have to be replaced with something. I don't know what, but I want something that can live in shade and that will bloom as long as possible in the later part of the year with color. I'm tired of this all white stuff. I told Meg over and over I wanted color. I wanted flowers to look at. These hostas were just supposed to fill in the front. She said the leaves could fall and they'd be fine. Well, the leaves fall everywhere. And with the climate changes, they're falling later in the year. And the hostas, soon as I saw there were slugs, I came out here and got rid of those. But now they're starting to turn brown around the edges with the cool nights and the hot days, and it's just, that's the way it goes this time of year. But these have done okay all summer. But I had lost 2, and then these 2 never came up and did anything. And I'm not keeping them. Obviously this particular variety, and I talked to 2 other nurseries, some hostas do better and are more drought tolerant, and they just grow better than others. And I don't know what the variety this is. I'll have to go look. But I had told her to take up the lamb's ear and pull up the landscape fabric. As she was pulling it up everywhere else, she should have pulled it up, because this is what it dies. It just dies, okay? It's growing on top of a little bit of dirt that's accumulated over the years on top of landscape fabric, and whatever mulch is left under there, which is turned to dirt. So this whole area in the front she said I told her to pull out the landscape fabric, which she did not. I mean, there's pieces everywhere. And she did not even put mulch down there or here. All that's landscape fabric. They cut back in the back area and they cut it all out, but they left it in all these other places. And she was supposed to take this up and put pops of color of perennials that bloomed in the summer all through the front. And Carrie knows it. I told him about it. And I actually found this echinacea coneflower that was blooming still, that some business had tossed out. And businesses like to plant perennials and then just pull them up and toss them. They've been doing it for years. And so I brought that home and managed to get that planted where they had planted the one yarrow, which is echinacea. No, I'm sorry, the yarrow Achilles. Echinacea is coneflower, which is what is over there that I planted also. All the color came from what I did, which I have other videos and photographs, but this was purple, and it's fine. It'll come back fine next year because I saw what they did and I did a video about it. I was very upset and angry because they barely dug a hole and plopped it in there, and it's rooty, but not like over near the crepe myrtle. But there was landscape fabric they did not take up, and it was sitting on top of landscape fabric, just a little bit of dirt and a little bit of mulch over it, and it didn't come back. It lasted last year after they planted it, but it didn't come back at all this year. I mean, you can't expect these plants to grow in conditions, especially one little clump of something. I worked my tail off to keep things watered and do everything I could do, and I've never been so unhappy with the project. And these pestidons are doing okay, all of them. The ones that way in the back, they're the only color that she put in, and they're pale purple. They only show up really good in the back where there's a ton of them. These have done okay. I planted the coneflower. I got blanket flower still blooming, and the coneflower still blooming some. And I got other things in here that was still blooming. The rain just beat everything down, my tall phlox and different things. But I did this bed, and every place in the back that had sun was supposed to have color. I don't mind a few white things, but everything was white and everything bloomed in the early spring. Boom, that's it, it's over. The rest of the year I've got nothing to look at but some scraggly bushes and hostas that aren't doing well, and the viburnum she put, or hydrangea she put in the back that bloomed and lasted all of like a week and a half, and that was the end of them, and they were white. Here's the other yarrow. I mean, I have fought like the devil to keep it alive. This she shouldn't have put in. This is a coreopsis. I told her, put down perennials that are taller with color that I can just kind of either sit and or walk by, just lean over and snip the heads off if I have to deadhead them. There's a lot of things I don't have to deadhead. That the blanket flower over there is a type of coreopsis. I've only deadheaded it like 3 times the entire summer, and it's been blooming all summer long. This is the only thing that came up here out of these, and these aren't as big as they were last year, and it wasn't this big. This is how much it's grown all summer, this little tiny bit. And Carrie said, oh, well, you know, you have to keep that. No, I'm not. He needs to make this right. They were supposed to be good. They were recommended by the county, by Nancy Pinnock when they didn't want to recommend anybody, because this is what happens. And they're a licensed contractor who does a good job for people with a ton of money, but on my job, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 isn't adequate to get Meg to do a good job, and she had personal problems going on. And oh well, and Carrie said she likes big hardscape projects, not projects like mine. Well, don't put her on my project, and don't do it when she's got major problems going on in her life and she doesn't give a rip about my backyard. And in her email she said so. These pestilens, every one of them, has got all this, which is crepe myrtle, coming up, which is, and they just were dying because this is all rooty back here, very rooty. The sedum lives. Sedum is very, very hardy. I mean, it grows in the freaking desert, so, but it doesn't mind the rootiness, and that's nice and gonna bloom. But there's a pestilence here, one there that's pretty much gone, trying to come back. This one over here, all this is crepe myrtle. That right there is crepe myrtle blooming with the pink bloom. There's crepe myrtle coming up everywhere. And this thing is old. I talked to her about taking it down because the back half is dead, thanks to Richard Kuhn that owns the property behind me now, and has ruined my yard multiple times. And Greg Revels at the county knows it. Greg's over all the inspectors if you need to ask him. But Meg said, oh no, this takes up real estate. I was willing to increase my budget another $2,000 to $3,000, bringing it to around $8,000 to have what I wanted and to do things and do them right. Oh, and over here, I mean, she told me she was going to do all this stuff, but she didn't put it in the contract, no, but I knew she said she would do it. And I literally have too much on my plate, and as an ill person, I'm struggling. I can't handle everybody, and like, I shouldn't have to follow behind every single freaking person and stand here and watch what they're doing. She knew all of this, and I told Carrie, and he said, like, over here, sorry, well, while I'm here, this broken up slate was supposed to be moved, and a good pathway, nothing fancy, just I had some other slate appropriate to put down to make a pathway through here